This is Nick the Greek.
And this is Cadoink.
And this is
TeamCraft. We have for you today another TeamCraft replay with Nick and myself. And yeah, we're going to go right into the game.
As you can see, there's a little bit of chat going on. He lagged a little bit while I was frantically trying to make a drone, so you're seeing a lot of SDs. My bad.
Yeah, very good hotkeying by Nick the Greek. So, we have today on Magma Core, Cadoink, the blue Terran on the right side of the map, as well as his partner, Nick the Greek, the red Zerg. And in the right-hand position, we have the teal Terran, ThattaBoy. ThattaBoy, teal Terran, and his partner is MaxBear, the purple Protoss.
Not just any bear, the MaxBear.
MaxBear, there you go. Papa Bear. And his partner ThattaBoy. So, we see some pretty normal things coming out of both players at this time, and they're spawning on Magma Core, which is a map that is a shared base, once again. Both players has this shared ramp, and they can either spawn on this side or on this side, and I believe they'll spawn cross positions each time, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, such is the way of the Magma Core.
And you can see that the Xel'Naga towers can be effective if used correctly, but they don't really see like the whole of everything, so they're not as important as they are in a lot of maps.
Right, the center one is very nice for seeing attacks that are coming, however players can swing to the left or to the right depending on their choosing. And these towers, while not very effective in scouting units, they scout these bases very nicely, and so you can kind of see if your opponents are taking expansions on either of these bases.
Yep, so now we're going to look over, we're going to see a nice little wall going on, and that's pretty typical of a Terran and Protoss combo. That pylon behind the wall, very important. Don't put your pylon in front of the wall. Might seem common sense, but it happens.
Yeah, and we do see a forge first for the Protoss player. This is indicative of more early expand builds, but in this sense it is just kind of a protection, kind of precautionary measure, so he is getting a cannon here behind the wall. While on the other side we do see that Nick the Greek has taken a very early expansion, which will allow him to get a little bit of a better econ.
Yeah, he's running a pool at 13 and an expand at 14 or 15 build. It's a really good aggressive in the early middle game, and then the mid game, and then by the late game your econ is just so beautiful. But it is vulnerable to the early rush, so you do have to be careful.
Yeah, which we see Cadoink is preparing for that early rush by getting his barracks out before his factory, a little bit of an earlier barracks, as well as getting some Marines as soon as he can. And we have a Protoss probe, MaxBear's little probe at the Xel'Naga tower that's now going to be doing some scouting, making sure that no early rushes are coming from our end. And they're even going to be scouting this base, make sure there aren't any crazy hidden expansions or anything like that.
Yeah, you just want to, you want to be sure to scout and make sure you can know what you're up against whenever you're playing a 2v2, with any game, really. You just want to know what you're coming up against so you can formulate your plan or change your plan, because you should already have a plan.
Yes, and we do see some Marines going out because he did see that early expansion, and they're going to try to do some harassment, do some damage. However, Cadoink and Nick the Greek do have quite a bit of Marines and Zerglings, and they're going to be running off to try to destroy ThattaBoy's little force of 4 Marines, doing some pushing and pulling, and they're going to end up being able to pick this off quite nicely.
Yeah, those Zerglings early on, that push and pull that happened, that was lost a couple Zerglings, I think, due to some a little micro battle, which is a good move on the lower right-hand team's part, but it wasn't a big loss.
Not at all. And we do see a barracks for ThattaBoy. ThattaBoy with a reactor on it, so he's going to be pumping out more Marines. We're not going to see a lot of Marauders, and he is gearing up to take an expansion as he has this finished. This is very nice because he can float it to this base if he so chooses, or he can float it to this base depending on which one he feels will be more safe. However, being as it's kind of up here, I would kind of suspect it going up here and him letting his Protoss friend take this base, such as I have done with Nick the Greek.
Attaboy, ThattaBoy.
We do see some roaches on the field for Nick the Greek. This might be in anticipation of the heavy Marine play that we see coming out of ThattaBoy. Roaches are very effective against Marines.
Yeah, we see a little bit of an earlier movement on that creep there, just because you want to get a good run, so you have some nice movement. Because roaches can be a pretty slow unit. If you can get enough creep going on, you can really make it so that you can run around easily and freely, and really just have a lot of control over your micro.
Yeah, and we do see an evolution chamber out for NickTheGreek right now. He's going to be working on those +1 upgrades, as well as maybe even getting some spore crawlers up if he feels the need. However, at this time there isn't really a need for that. But if that were to occur, he could put them up as soon as he saw something like Void Rays or Banshees. And we see tanks for Cadoink with siege mode finished, and so they will be putting on an early push pretty soon. And another creep tumor going down from NickTheGreek. Very nice.
And as far as that evolution chamber is concerned, whenever you're Zerg, you just want to make sure you make your first upgrade strategic to what you have out. So right now, NickTheGreek has some roaches and some Zerglings, so he's going to upgrade the armor first. He probably won't upgrade any kind of ranged attack ever, because he's using so many Zerglings along with the roaches, so he's going to focus mainly on the armor.
Very nice move by NickTheGreek, and we see that an attack is coming at the same time as putting this expansion by the gold. I like this because he'll be able to put pressure on and kind of defend this gold at the same time. But at the same time as this, we do see MaxBear taking expansion here at the north position, getting a cannon and some units up to defend it. This is what I was talking about before. If either player had a unit there, they would have been able to spot it, but they're going to go ahead and attack. They see this base is morphing into an planetary fortress, but it hasn't been started in time, and he's getting SCVs to repair it, but it's not going to be enough. These Zerglings are very nicely cleaning up the SCVs, and the planetary fortress does go down before it is finished. These tanks sieged up, but not this one, so he can push it forward closer to this ramp to see what's going on. He's going to be unsieging them one at a time and moving them forward while picking off this refinery.
As you see, look over that mini-map, that creep is spreading nicely. There's going to be some good movement for the roaches in case there's any need for some defensive play. But it looks like there's a pretty good offensive movement going on. That early game was pretty quiet, but whenever that happens, you know that there's going to be a real big army clash, so make sure that your army is properly teched for any kind of activity like that, because you have a higher tech army, you're going to do much better. Now you see those siege tanks coming in.
Yeah, the siege tanks are being attacked and flanked by the zealots and the sentries and stalkers, but while the siege tanks go down, so do the Protoss forces, and there are a ton of Marines for ThattaBoy, but similarly, a lot of Marines for Cadoink, as well as a lot of roaches for NickTheGreek. They're going to be able to pick off these Zerglings as quickly as possible, and there's a GG by ThattaBoy. We'll see if his partner feels the same way and leaves. He does pick off a pylon, and he's going to be going for some more pylons as well as his gateways. ThattaBoy does leave the game, leaving it up to MaxBear at this time, but MaxBear doesn't have anything in the way of attacking this force other than this expansion that isn't really saturated, so it won't be able to do this much. We do see 3 stalkers on the field, but 3 roaches as well as a marauder are going to be able to pick this off really quickly, while the rest of the force is able to come into this base and chew up the rest of MaxBear's buildings.
Now they had a pretty good army force over at about minute 11, but the problem was that the Marines came in a bit too late compared to when the Protoss force was there. So because the forces didn't attack at the same time, that was a split army maneuver. 1 double army versus 2 single armies that aren't timed together is a bad move. That flank could have been effective because you were shooting from both sides, but unfortunately they did not combine those armies, and that was the downfall. Because while one got picked off, the other one was almost getting there. When it finally got there, the other one was already gone. And so combine your armies, please.
Yeah, it makes an incredible amount of difference when you have 2 armies against 1. And yeah, that was a big reason as to why they lost. Also, they weren't macroing as hard as NickTheGreek and Cadoink were. We were really on top of our expansions, making sure we got this gold, making sure we got this natural up really quickly, and making sure we continued to build units throughout the game.
Yeah, whenever you go on a push, it's a good idea. If you're going on a push and you're doing a lot of macroing and you have a little bit of extra, just go ahead and upgrade on that push. You know, the upgrade probably won't come into play as soon as the units get there, but it'll be done for the next push you do if you have to do another one.
Yeah, and it'll make a huge advantage in the long run. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game. I do realize I left the replay timeline open, so I do apologize for that, so you were able to see when the game was going to end, and that it was an 11-minute game. We were messing around with overlays before and having some trouble with that, but we will get that up eventually, and we won't make that same mistake the next game. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed the game. We had a lot of fun casting it.
Yeah, and I bet you were like, oh geez, man, another Cadoink and NickTheGreek game? I have some way better games. Well, if you do, you know where you should send them?
You should send them to CadoinkReplays@gmail.com. That's CadoinkReplays with an S at the end of replays. At gmail.com. You can send them there, your 2v2s, your 3v3s, or your 4v4s. Make sure it's a team game. Make sure it's a game you'd play on the ladder. However, it doesn't have to be on the ladder. It can be custom. But just make sure that it is, you know, ladder kind of style.
Lather? Like lather and rinse?
Yeah, lather and rinse. A nice shampoo game. You know, make sure you condition. It's very healthy for your scalp.
Alright. If you liked this video, which I know you did, and you want your mom to see this video, which I know you did, you should like the video, the little like thumbs up. Yeah. You should go down to the comments and say, hey, I loved your video, but you could do this better, or I like this, or my favorite color is purple. And then you could go up and subscribe to the channel, because you want to see every single video put out by CadoinkStudios, because who doesn't?
Yeah, that would mean a lot to us, and it'd be a lot of help, and so we can make better videos because we do enjoy doing it, and we hope you enjoyed as well. We love StarCraft 2, and we'd love to make it more popular and get more people into it because it's such a fun game.
Yep. So this pretty much sums it up. This was NickTheGreek.
And Cadoink.
And this was
TeamCraft.
Dun 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 dun.